Perhaps you've noticed it in the grocery store, products getting smaller in size, but the price stays the same.
For instance, fewer paper towels on a roll or fewer cookies in the package.
It's a practice known as shrinkflation, and yes, it is legal in the US, and it's also been happening for years.
But search the word on social media and you'll find a wave of renewed outrage.
I remember when pack of gum used to be a full pack of gum.
Those online consumer complaints often show examples of shrinkflation.
So we're going in depth on the search for solutions. Reporter Heather Graff shows us how some shoppers are pushing back.
Plus, expert insight and the shrinkflation prevention proposal recently introduced in Congress.
I mean, it feels overwhelming. It also feels like you are powerless.
That's how Melissa Simonson describes trips to the grocery store, shopping for her family of 4 over the last few years.
It started to get more and more expensive very rapidly.
And frustration amid the aisles caused her to pay more close attention.
And you see, like, wait, wasn't this 15 ounces before? Wasn't this 18 ounces before? We started getting less and less.
Eventually, Melissa started posting about it on social media.
This actually blows my mind.
Getting thousands of views as she shared specific examples in which items on the shelf seemed to be shrinking in size with no reduction in price.
Can we talk about how not only are they giving less sheets and the sheets are smaller, but this is now not as tall?
From toilet paper,
Come on.
to chocolate candy,
Sir.
to over-the-counter medication.
Yeah. It's not just gum, it's not just food products, it's not just your laundry detergent and your chips and snacky things.
None of it is Melissa's imagination. Instead, it's what's known as shrinkflation. The word, even added to the Merriam-Webster dictionary in 2022, defined as the practice of reducing a product's amount or volume per unit while continuing to offer it at the same price.
The thing that has gone wrong, that I think most people get viscerally upset over, is that instead of telling the consumer about that and saying, hey, we're having a rough year, or hey, you know, our cost of goods or our costs are rising, they just don't tell us. And it just feels like companies gaslighting us.
And when we spoke to consumer advocate Edgar Dworsky,
we feel like we're being cheated.
He offered a similar take.
So basically, it's just a way for manufacturers to pass on a sneaky price increase to shoppers.
And can it be pretty hard to detect?
It's hard to detect because companies have become masters at packaging tricks. You know, here's the old package, here's the new package. They look the same, but look at that fine print on there. We're getting 2 ounces less.
Dworsky would know because he's been tracking shrinkflation for decades. The recent side-by-side product images you see here, just a few of the many he's highlighted on his website, consumerworld.org.
We're all sensitive when a price goes up. We have to be equally sensitive when the quantity inside the package goes down, because it's the same thing.
Even the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, in this 2023 write-up, notes that shrinkflation, or downsizing, is sometimes hard to identify because manufacturers employ a variety of means to reduce package size while keeping the same price. BLS data showing that from 2019 to 2023, household paper products saw the largest effective downsizing, with a nearly 35% price increase per unit, followed by snacks, candy and chewing gum, and household cleaning products. But that same report states that while consumers may notice shrinkflation at the grocery store, it has a very small impact on the overall inflation picture they face.
Shrinkflation is a consequence of inflation. It's a symptom. It's not the disease. The disease is inflation.
Veronique Desregie is an economist at George Mason University who has testified before Congress on several occasions.
How would you characterize the impact shrinkflation has on consumers?
I think for the most part it's a good thing, because if it's a difference between you being able to buy a bag of chips versus not being able to afford it because it's just not worth it, I mean, a lot of people would make that trade-off.
And she cautions that if the U.S. were to prohibit shrinkflation, it could come with unintended consequences.
Everyone will face higher prices. There will be no way out of facing higher prices for the same amount of stuff. One way or another, you're getting less.
Yet on Capitol Hill, Democratic Senator Bob Casey of Pennsylvania says shrinkflation is an issue he hears about constantly from consumers and constituents.
I don't think you could go into any grocery store in the country and not have an experience with it to see it up close.
Casey blames what he calls corporate greed, and in 2024, he introduced the Shrinkflation Prevention Act. It would direct the Federal Trade Commission to issue regulations establishing shrinkflation as an unfair or deceptive act, and it would authorize both the FTC and state attorneys general to pursue civil actions against corporations that do it.
These major corporations are ripping families off. We've got to make sure that the one cop on the beat, this Trade Commission, has the resources it needs to go after these companies hard, hit them hard, and hold them accountable.
Meanwhile, the Food Industry Association declined to speak on camera, instead sending InvestigateTV Plus a statement that says in part, external factors like rising energy costs, persistent labor and transportation challenges, extreme weather events, and global conflict have caused an increase in the production costs of food and thus food prices over the last few years. Adding that decisions to change package sizes are based on market conditions as well as extensive data on consumer preferences.
This is what I'm talking about.
As for this consumer,
You get it.
Melissa says she'll continue to call out shrinkflation whenever she sees it.
It is not okay, and they shouldn't be doing this, and we should say something about it.
Melissa is also experimenting with making or even growing some food items at home.
And experts say that's certainly one way to combat shrinkflation in stores. Some others, be more conscious about net weight. Look at unit pricing posted on the shelf to determine what product or brand is the best deal. Consider buying the store brand, as they are often the last ones to shrink or change size. You can also take the time to shop around, comparing prices at different retailers, or for instance, online shopping versus shopping in store. And for some items, experts say you can often save money by buying in bulk.